How's it going, everybody? Welcome to We Do Tech. So recently, Apex Interactive sent over the new Viper gaming mouse from Razer, which is their very lightweight and ambidextrous gaming mouse that is currently retailing for around $80 on Amazon or 1,300 Rand on Rebel Tech here in South Africa. The design Razer went with was to make as light as mouse possible, but still keeps a premium look and that high-grade sensor. We have seen a lot of these other very light mice come to the market, but most of them have like holes drilled into them to reduce weight, and it kind of looks really flimsy. So instead of drilling holes in their mice, Razer just opted to go for as light as possible at around 69 grams with the Viper, but still keeps that premium look and that high grade sensor. So they're not really downgrading on anything on their mice. To all my South African viewers, Dreamwear Tech is a computer e-tailer located in Durban who believes in ethical prices and customer service. They supply a wide range of products from some of your favorite brands like MSI, Gigabyte, Corsair, Razer, and many more. They're currently running a special on an MSI Gaming X Trio RTX 2080, so if you are looking to save some cash or build a new system, go check out dreamweartech.co.za. Viper's body is made out of a plastic with a nice smooth surface, and even though it does use lightweight plastic, it doesn't feel like a cheap mouse. Like I mentioned before, the Viper does have an ambidextrous shape for both left and right-handed users. The body is a tad bit lower than the Mamba Elite and does have a much lower curve towards the front. For the sides of the Viper, both the left and right sides does feature two buttons that sits flush with the body. I will say that they don't feel as nice as something like the Mamba or the Def Adder side buttons, but they do definitely get the job done. Now, something worth mentioning for those side buttons was that even though my finger was placed prominently on them on the right side, I never accidentally pressed them. The reason for that, again, is because they sit so flush against the body. It is a problem that I have had with some other ambidextrous mice. That's usually the reason why I don't like them that much, but for the Viper, I didn't have the problem and it actually worked really well. Now, as for comfort, the Viper did feel good in my hand, especially on the left side. I didn't have any problems, but it wasn't as comfortable for me on the right side. The problem that I had was for my ring finger, where the tip of my ring finger was a bit more on the edge at the front instead of on the side of the mouse, and the reason for that is again because the front side does curve downwards a lot more compared to something again like the Mamba Elite, where you do still have space along the side of the mouse to rest your finger and not push it back where it's uncomfortable. Now again, that is just how I use the mouse. Your grip may differ and you might actually not have that problem, so it's just worth mentioning for me. Speaking of a grip, for the grip styles, honestly it worked well with all three, palm, claw and fingertip. I had no problems using it between all of those three. Moving on to the switches, the Viper uses Razer's optical switches with over 70 million click life cycle and has a low travel distance and a nice snappy response. As for the scroll wheel, it does have a bunch of small rubber studs for grip and is not illuminated around the side like most other Razer mice, but it does have a pretty standard scroll to it with not too long steps and also not being too loud. Taking a look underneath the Elite, you get 3 Teflon glide pads, with one being around the sensor that does deliver a very smooth glide. You also get Razer's 5G optical sensor with a max DPI of 16,000, an IPS of 450, and a max polling rate of 1000 Hz. Also underneath, you do get the DPI selection button that is not on the top of the mouse like most others. You can switch between the 2 to 5 DPI levels, each assigned with their own dedicated LED color to let you know on what DPI level you are on. I will say that having it underneath the mouse is not the most convenient, but it is definitely better than nothing. Now, as for that 5G optical sensor, all I can say is that it's really good. If you have used any of Razer's other mice with their 5G sensor, you know how good these sensors are. They're very accurate, they don't have any jittering, and they do not have any sensor rollout. Also, for liftoff distance, it was extremely low with only a single DVD fitting underneath the mouse and still being able to track. Now then, as for the cable, you do get a 2.1 meter or 6.9 feet braided fiber USB cable. But this is actually my first time using one of Razer's mice with their Speed Flex cable, and I have to say, I really love it. It's super flexible and light, so moving it around is really easy, and it doesn't get caught on the edges of your desk that easily. Now, as for gaming on the Viper, it was extremely fun. The lightweightness made flicking the mouse around feel like nothing. The sensor I don't really need to say much about anymore. Anybody again who has used Razer's 5G sensor knows how great it performs. It's pretty much just going to be up to the end user at the end of the day if I want such a lightweight mouse. I have to say that it borders on a bit too light for me. I wouldn't necessarily go lighter than this because otherwise it doesn't even feel like I have anything in my hand anymore. So in the end, again, it's just gonna depend on your preference if you want a really light mouse or if you want to go for something a bit heavier. Then finally, quickly for the software, you can go download the Synapse 3 program from Razer's website, which allows you to do some of the basics like assign different commands to each of the buttons on the mouse. You do have Razer's Hyper Shift feature that allows you to pretty much get double the amount of commands out of the mouse, and then also you can select whether you're going to use the mouse in your left or a right hand, and it's pretty much just going to change the commands depending on what hand you're going to use. Then for the DPI, you do again have that 2 to 5 DPI levels that you can switch between, and they're ranging from 100 to 16,000 DPI with increments of 50. Then for the lighting, you do have the same effects and controls you get with most other Razer mice. You can sync them with some of your other Razer products, you can sync them with your Philips Hue and so on, and they can also link with some games. But now that's pretty much it for my review of the Viper ultra lightweight gaming mouse from Razer. Big thanks to Apex Interactive for sending it over for a review. If you guys want to get it for yourself, I will leave links in the video description where you can get it on Rebeltech if you live here in South Africa, or Amazon if you live overseas. But thanks for watching, guys. If you did like this review, please like, share, subscribe, and comment like always, and I will check all of you guys next time. Cheers, guys.